and the Dawn. No, it's not The Wrath and the Dawn. In a Cown. This is actually one I think I read before I started BookTube, so I might not have mentioned it often or at all. People rarely talk about it. Hello Lovely Bookworms, I'm Esmay from Paradise of Pages on Instagram and also on Twitter, and welcome to day 4 of the Christmas countdown. So today's video is actually going to be an entirely new thing that I want to introduce on this channel, which is Friday favorites. I'm hoping I can do this on a monthly basis where I talk about either random favorites, favorite sequels, favorite duologies, favorite standalones, all those kinds of ideas, or whatever you guys suggest I do on a monthly basis or sometime. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about 5 underrated books. So without further ado, let's get into it. As I said, I picked up 5 books, and the first one is actually one that shouldn't be too surprising because I think it's absolutely amazing, and I also feel like I don't hear enough about it. And that is Even the Darkest Stars by Heather Fawcett. This basically follows a girl named Kamzin who wants to be a royal explorer. And when she gets the chance, she takes it, and from there on, all hell breaks loose, basically. And I think that this was such an interesting story. The reason why I'm also suggesting you read this now is due to the fact that it's a very wintry book, in my opinion. It feels very cold, very wintry, and I think it would be perfect for this time of year. But apart from that, I also really think that it is highly underrated and people should read it more. So that's obviously why this is on this list. I do have to say that I absolutely love Kamzin. I also really love River, who's in here, and all the other characters that are in here are so well written, and they're very rounded, and the story itself is just so unique and so beautiful that I think everyone should read it. The next book is actually one that I don't think might be very underrated, but still underrated in my opinion because people rarely talk about it, and that is actually Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. This one follows a girl named Alosa who is captured by an enemy ship, and that is basically where her story starts. I think it is absolutely amazing. I really loved reading this one. It was such a blast. I flew right through it. Femke and I actually have an inside joke about one of the characters in this book named Raiden. At one point something happens, I will not spoil, but I can literally feel him doing like the Scratch from Ice Age eye twitch. So he keeps going, so whenever something happens, Femke and I now go, okay, that's a Raiden eye twitch. So that is really funny, and in general I just love reading these. I've read them multiple times already. It's a duology, by the way, and I think you will love it too. Next up is the first book in a trilogy, but I love the entire trilogy, and this is actually one I think I read before I started BookTube, so I might not have mentioned it often or at all, and that is a very big personal favorite, and that is the Rebel of the Sands trilogy by Elwyn Hamilton. This was actually great. It also fits nicely in that theme where I like desert Arabian Nights kind of adventure books. This fits in that trope pretty nicely, so that's also one of the reasons I love it. This is actually about a girl named Amani who lives in a town called Dustwalk, and she really wants to escape. She wants to get out of there, and when a mysterious stranger comes along, she gets that chance and she takes it. It is so interesting to read. This is also very much a traveling kind of book, at least this one. The second one is just as good, and same goes for the third one. I think you should definitely read these, and I am sure you will love them. Truly. Next up is another trilogy, and I do know that one of the books in this trilogy I didn't like as much as the other two. I just don't remember which of the 3 it was, so I'm gonna hold up the first one. I still loved the trilogy as a whole, so it's fine. And that is The Winner's Curse by Mary Ruthkowski. I absolutely loved this. This basically follows a girl named Kestrel who is quite high up in life. She's very well off, and at one point she finds herself in the slave market and feels as if she has found a kindred spirit and decides to buy him. And that's where the story takes off, and that's also the premise of the book. And she's just such an interesting character in the way she handles her affairs, but also she loves so fiercely that I loved reading about her. She reminds me a lot of myself. And in general, I just thought that this trilogy was amazing, and I rarely hear people talking about it. It's just absolutely amazing, and I don't hear enough gush about it, so that's what I'm doing here. It's absolutely amazing. Read it, please. Then last, but certainly not least, is another book that fits into my desert Arabian kind of trope. Wrath in the Dawn. No, it's not The Wrath in the Dawn. But it is another series, and that is The 100th Queen by Emily R. King. I believe there are 4 books in this series, and I absolutely love them. They're also not that big, so they're really nice to read in between somewhere. And this is basically about a girl named Kalinda, who is picked as the 100th Queen. And she also meets one of the guards, who is a very interesting character, and from there on, her story progresses. I absolutely loved reading this. It is very, very desert inspired, and I just love those stories so much. Maybe I could do an entire video about this desert theme that I love so much, because I have a lot of recommendations. That said, this book is absolutely amazing. It's pretty fast-paced. It's really fast-paced. It is amazing. The storyline's really good, and I remember vividly loving this one and also the last one. The last one is amazing. Also like the other two, but the first and the last are definitely my favorites in this series. So these are all the books that I wanted to show you today of this underrated books list. I would really love to know whether you know any of these. Do you have the same opinion about these? Have you read them? All those kinds of questions. That said, I would also love to see what books you find underrated, and I'm curious to see whether I've read them or not. And I think that is everything for today's video. I think it's another short one, but that's okay because we have 8 days filled with videos anyway, so you'll see more of me tomorrow. That said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and press that little bell icon so you can post notifications every single time that we post. Give us a like, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!